I'm an advocate for young, new startups because, as we know, the biggest failure rate in business is if you're going to fail, it's going to be in the first 2 years. If you get through year 3, then you're on the way to owning probably a credible business because you've gone through them harder times. The insurance industry is the most interesting industry in the world because whatever you're looking at now, whether it's me or whether that's a chair or whether you get in a car and a train and a plane or whatever, it's insured. When I owned CAA with the guys, every single one of our people were under education. But that is not the be and all of having a successful business. Actually, if you take the time to read the VINTTRO brand, I've put in that brand, we will consider education, but we will only consider. I'm not really interested in it. I'm interested in the person and how you're hungry for success. Because I can teach you, coach you and educate you, but are you hungry for success?
Hello and welcome to the UK Direct to Business podcast. This show was born out of our drive to help and support you in running your business that little bit better. My name is Sue Wilcock and I'm founder and managing editor of UK Direct to Business magazines. And today we are joined by Simon Bennett, CEO of VINTTRO. Simon always brings a fantastic energy, and this episode is no different. We delve into his lifelong insomnia, building a successful lifestyle insurance business on just 4 hours of sleep a night, how he uses music as a creative outlet, and how his early career formed the foundation for how he runs his business today. Today's episode is brought to you in association with Affinia, the accountancy and tax advisory firm helping businesses and individuals make better financial decisions with confidence. My co-host for this episode is Rob Thacker, CEO of Sona Insurance. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this conversation with Simon. Hello and welcome back to the UK Director Business podcast. I'm glad to be back. I've been away for a while, as you've probably realised from previous episodes, and which have been ably assisted by my co-host, Rob. As with all businesses, sometimes curveballs come from the side, and we've had one where I lost my voice completely when we were recording. So I'm back with a croaky voice, but I'm okay and I can talk. So thank you, Rob, for...
I'm so pleased you're back, Sue. It was a big burden to carry on my own. And I don't have to follow any notes written on pads that are held up in the air in the distance now. So that'll be a bit easier.
So we're welcoming Simon Bennett, who is CEO of VINTTRO. Now, welcome, Simon.
Welcome, thank you, Sue.
I've been told that you're a bit of a pro at doing these podcasts.
Well, I wouldn't guarantee that, but I've done a few, that's for sure.
So I want you to tell us sort of a bit of an elevator pitch here. Tell us in a nutshell what it is that VINTTRO does. Okay,
so we're heavily weighted to the insurance industry because that's my background. I've been working in insurance for over 30 years. But actually, VINTTRO is a lifestyle brand. We promote ourselves as a lifestyle brand. But 85%, probably about 85% is weighted towards insurance.
So when you say that, a lifestyle brand, because you're insurance, aren't you?
I am. So, and I should probably declare an interest because Simon and I know each other very well. We partner on the insurance side of Simon's business, as in we're the sort of principal to the appointed representative status that Simon has. So where
does the line fall then? Between you both, where does the synergy? Where's the synergy and where is?
Well, it's regulation, isn't it, Rob?
It is
through regulation, yeah. So to do what we have to do as an insurance broker, we have to be regulated, and we're regulated through Rob's company, which is Sona. Rob's fully FCA regulated, and we're an appointed representative of Rob's company. So it's regulation. That's the.
And I guess if there's a line, it is that Simon has a unique set of customers. You know, the classic car owner, even supercar owner.
Yeah,
guys who just have a passion for the engine. I guess at the end of the day, that's what it's about. And they come to Simon because of the many other things that VINTTRO do, but also as kind of part of that is the insurance can be done via Simon because his team is trained up. They can do the sales, they can provide the customer service, and we're in the background going, okay, is it doing the audit, being the FCA compliance officer, all the horrible, boring things that you have to do in the industry.
So do you just do the cars, or do you do other things? Do you do boats and?
Yeah, well, this is the thing. This is with the lifestyle. So we have a strategy in our business. So when as I say, 30 years working in insurance. So what is the strategy? VINTTRO was written around the passion of niche car ownership, whether that's an investment car, a supercar or a classic car. But what we do, we target that owner. If there's one thing that business owners do when the business succeeds and does well, they usually go and buy assets like cars or yachts or watches or anything like that. So we target the lifestyle of that car owner, and then we say, okay, it's got a business, so we'll insure the business, we'll insure the property. We're nearly on doing as much property inquiries now as we are cars, because as soon as we insure a niche car, we've got the postcode. So our systems intelligently looks up and go, right, that's a typical target for insuring the property. And then from that, we do the searches, go, they're a CEO of the company. We then start talking about business, and business is my passion. So we then target the business. We insure the lifestyle, and we create services around that lifestyle.
So is it a case that people know they've made it, when they get insured by VINTTRO?
Well, possibly, but we look at it, I'm an advocate for young, new startups, because as we know, the biggest failure rate in business is, if you're going to fail, it's going to be in the first 2 years. If you get through year 3, probably without any salary, year 4, 5, and then you're on the way to owning, probably a credible business, because you've gone through them harder times. But we particularly target that person. So if they want to insure their first classic car, an MGB, and they're a car enthusiast, they'll probably end up with a Ferrari in their life if the business does well, you see. So that's our strategy. So we whether they're established business owners or whether they're just someone comes to insure their classic MGB for £150, we won't prejudice against that. We will take that and we will nurture that client through to hopefully success.
So your background, go back a little bit to the young Simon.
Yeah, well, we talked before we come on air about stories, and I always say business is about corridors, and it is. So I started life as a tyre fitter when I was 16 years old. I used to fit tyres for a firm called National Tyre Service, and as part of that, you had to go through your car tyre fitting. Then you go onto the commercial, the lorries. And then I was out on the road with this guy, and one of his companies that he used to look after was Allied Bakeries, known as Tuck's Bakery in Norwich Road. And I went in there, and even now I'm still a rabbit in headlights. Robert knows I'm insomnia. I don't sleep. I've had half an hour tonight. So I
don't know how you do it, mate. Honestly.
Yeah. So I got to sleep this morning about 6:30, and then I've come here.
Do you suffer from imposter syndrome?
Not really. No.
Okay. Interesting.
Just a lack of sleep.
So why don't you sleep then? Is that all? So that's been a thing since you were really young.
Yeah. I've had insomnia since I've been 15. Yeah.
How do you manage that?
Well, last night I got no sleep, and last night I got about half an hour. Well, no, tell a lie. I got to bed because I don't go to bed before midnight, and then I slept till about 4, and then I was awake till 6:30, and then the alarm went off at 7. But the night before I got no sleep. I went because I got an active brain. When someone sparks something into me, I go down, I sleep on it and go, oh, we could do that, we could do that, we could do that. And yesterday I was in Watford with Enterprise on their exotic car, because we do claims handling, you see. So I went down to talk to them about that. And then last night I was just, my brain was go.
Okay, so interesting. All sorts of questions popping up in my head about that. I don't sleep particularly well. Overactive brain. I think that's a common symptom when people run businesses. Waking up at, get to sleep, wake up and thinking, but I have a notepad and pen.
Yeah, you should do, because you've got to clear it. That's a very good thing to do. So,
but I want to ask, how does that work with your wife and the family if you're not sleeping?
Well, first and foremost, I haven't got no children.
Okay.
Right. That's a really interesting one, because my wife's the opposite. She'll sleep on a linen line, and she probably won't appreciate this, and she snores quite heavily as well. So sometimes I sit there literally where she is absolutely sound out, she's sparko out, and she sleeps for like 9-10 hours, and I'm just sitting there with my arms folded in the dark room, like, how long is this going to last? I don't know. It's never caused me a problem in the past, because I've always had so much energy, and I've still got a lot of energy. I know I can burn youngsters out now at my age, but it's getting hard. I'm 57 now. When I was younger, that was when I used to own CAA, which is now Gallagher's in Ipswich. I could deal with that. I was in my 30s and 40s, and now I'm in my 50s. it is getting harder for me with the lack of sleep. Yeah.
So you don't have any tips then?
Tips to do it? Well,
Tips how to overcome it?
well, I've been on all the old self-help groups when I was younger, and there's certain myths around insomnia. You know, the worst thing you can do is a lot of people say, "Oh, have a hot bath and relax." No, you don't. You don't want to be going having a hot bath before you go to bed, because what you'll do, you're raising the temperature of your body, and then when you go to bed, your body's trying to come and find those temperatures again. So what's happening? Your body is working. Don't have coffee and biscuits before you go to bed, because your digestive system starts working. That means your body is working. And insomnia is linked to, like, because I've got an active brain, my brain is working. So just whenever parts of your body is working, that's when you're not relaxing, you see. And that's all it takes.
Is it quite a negative feeling when you're awake, as in you're just trying to get to sleep?
Frustrating.
Yeah, okay.
And it compounds, you see.
Yeah.
Because if you've got an important meeting, I remember once we had a Dublin office, and I was in Dublin, and I couldn't sleep. I don't sleep very well in hotels. I'm a real homeboy. I'm a Suffolk boy, you know. And I was in this hotel, and I had this meeting with Willis in Dublin, and a really important meeting. It was a big claims handling opportunity. Fortunately, we went on and won. But I remember still being in that hotel room at 8 o'clock with no sleep, and the meeting was at 9. I got up, showered, went to the meeting, but I'd done the deal. And we won the contract. But that's the type of thing. So you compound. You go, "Oh, it's 2 o'clock, still awake. That means I've got 6 hours. 3 o'clock, I'm still awake. It means I've got 5 hours," and it compounds in your brain. And this is insomnia. This it's like a wheel turning in your head.
Do you get tired in the day at any point? Like
Yes,
after lunch or?
I do. I start flagging around about 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I'm actually getting a new puppy this afternoon. But I used to have this beautiful little dog that followed me everywhere. And talk about another story now. So when I owned CAA, we had this office in Dublin, and we were opposite Google. And Google's the most creative brand in the world. Okay, the 6 colours are everywhere, and you go in Google, you will not see nothing but those 6 colours. And I was looking at my office one day, and I see hammocks. I thought, what's a hammock? So I thought, I'll go and have a look at that. So I just went to the reception at Google and said, I've got to ask this question, because I'm really into brand and creativity. I said, I've got to ask this question. If our staff are, and I don't like the word staff, the people, if they're tired and they're fatigued, they can go and have a little kip in a hammock. So I came back from Dublin, and I said to my board of directors and my co-owners, I said, right, we're building a chill out room. We're going to put fish tanks, lights, and all the staff are going to go for a sleep in the afternoon. And they did. We built this chill out room. We put fish tanks in there, and we had these low level lights that used to like dim and up and down. And I said to the guys who were like claims handlers and stuff like that, we had over 100 staff. And you can go for a kip in the afternoon. You can have that 15-minute, 20-minute siesta. And you know what? They still do it in Spain and obviously Italy and stuff like that. Have you ever had 10 minutes and feel refined? It's like charging the battery. But if you have 1 hour, you feel like a slug.
Yeah.
Have you experienced that?
Yeah.
So can you imagine that in the workplace? We put that in at the CAA. And then when we were taken over by a corporate American, scrapped that, put desks in there, and put a screen on the wall.
That's a waste of space.
No, they don't get it.
No.
You know.
It's interesting though, because I mean,
Psychology, isn't it? You know, it's like
It's health, isn't it?
Health.
but
balance.
it's also a thing around a lot of business owners, like people that, you know, they're running businesses, wouldn't. Do you have to control that though? Because if they go in there, then they don't come out for an hour or
You do
whatever.
have to control it, yeah, and especially when you live in a world like we did, we were claims handling. It's very what they call workflow, task driven. Telephone calls, picking up the phone. We had 12 seconds to pick up the phone, otherwise we're out of SLA. And
What does SLA mean?
Service level agreement.
Okay.
So service level agreement. So when you sign a contract for an insurance company, like we had 12 contracts. They say, right, we want the phone picked up in 12 seconds, answered QBE insurance as an example, and they'll monitor that and they'll register that, and you have to send the reports, automated reports. And if you're out of that SLA, they say, well, what resource are you putting in to hit that target? They're that strict on it. That's the world that, you know, Rob knows. That's the world I lived in. Yeah. You know, and it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It keeps you very focused, and the biggest benefit of having that sort of a regiment in your business, if you like, it makes you price effective, because you have to price to the resource. And I remember saying to my claims manager one day, he was a great guy, he's a really intelligent personal injury claims manager. You know, this guy deal with broken bones for up to £1 million a claim, you know. So he was really, really great guy. But I noticed a pattern that he was still in our business at 6:30, but his hours were 9 till 5. So I went and spoke to him one day, and I said, you know, and he actually believed that was a good thing. He thought he was giving the company free time. And I explained to him, I said, as much as I love how you're thinking, I just need to correct you, that's actually wrong. I say, because I priced this claims handling account on productivity of 7.5 hours a day. Okay. And if you're giving me 9 hours a day, that means when we're pricing this claims handling account, it's wrong. Because I'm looking at productivity from the computer system that is really seriously run by SLAs and everything else. You're really pricing the business wrong. So just go home at 5 o'clock and go home to your wife and children. That's all we ask. That's all we ask. But he found that really strange when I had that conversation. He couldn't believe I wanted him to go home at 5 o'clock.
It's fascinating, isn't it, managing people like that? Because I met a guy recently, and he works very long hours and it's all very intense. But every year he's sick for a month, and it's kind of like, what would you rather have?
Yeah.
You know, do you want to sort of drive your family mad while you're working because you work long hours and you're not happy when you're home?
Yeah.
But then be ill from it? It doesn't make sense. I mean, I guess we're all different, but I mean,
didn't
it's an
actually
interesting point.
realise that insurance was such a driven type environment.
Oh, it's a pressure cooker environment. I don't know of an industry that, broking is pressure cooker. Claims handling, your SLAs, you got to pick up the phone. You know, when you sign a claims handling contract, there's sort of 5 facets to claims handling. There's what they call the first notification of loss, and then there's repair allocation. We're talking motor claims here. Repair allocation, you got to allocate it within 1 hour to the approved repairer. They've got to phone the client within 1 hour, and then they've got for a drivable vehicle, they've got probably 5 days to book the vehicle in. For an undrivable vehicle, 6 hours, 6 working hours. Then you get the repair estimate. That's got to be authorised within 6 working hours, and then it starts so the hours on the estimate is then divided by the labour rates, and you say, right, that's 5 days to repair that car. That's the end of completion date. Is it done? If it is, why not? We've got a parts delay. Register the parts delay. It's a very, very pressure cooker.
So does that make it a 24/7?
Yeah, it can be.
Because otherwise you can't fit that, because you can't say, well,
No,
sorry,
so the repair durations, I'm talking motor claims here, the repair durations are typically from 8 till 6, but then you've got out of hours claims, haven't you? You could have a crash on the M25, you call the insurance company, but this is where I was yesterday. You know, we're putting all this back in now into our business. You know, so if you have an accident at 3 o'clock in the morning, you phone your broker, but your broker should be actually shipping that out to a 24-hour call centre, which the recovery truck will go and get that person, they put it into compound, we pick it up the next day and go, I understand you've got your car, and the claims process starts all over again. And that's just one example. But when you're dealing like we were with like 1,500 motor claims a month from one insurer, and then we had 12 accounts, that's why you got 150 staff.
Yeah.
So I'm going off piste a bit here, but I think it's valid because you're both in insurance.
Yes.
So tell me one of those things that you've seen happen, and you go, you're not involved in insuring it, but you go, oh, that's going to be a tricky one from an insurance point of view.
Well, I've had some. I mean, my maddest claim was try and keep the names and details out of it, but my client was sued for creating a cow pillow that didn't work.
Oh,
so
that is weird, Rob. Yeah.
A pillow for cows.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a pillow that mooed or something.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, you can interpret it that way. In my head, I see what this thing was, and they were trying to make a pillow for a cow. I don't know. I guess cows maybe produce more milk if they're comfortable when they sleep. Who knows? We're coming back to this sleep issue again, aren't we? Anyway.
No, they lay down.
No, I didn't know that either. I mean, honestly, I knew. You know, when you sort of get something sprung on you, look, what? What does that even mean? Yeah, that was bad. Actually,
That is mad, Rob. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what actually made that person come up with inventing a cow pillow, for goodness sake?
Well, dairy farmers.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I won't say too much. I could elaborate, but I know a lot of detail. Weirdly, I know a lot about cow pillows now, which you do. This is the thing of the trade, isn't it? You see so many different things. You learn about so many different industries. That's what I love about the industry. Actually, you just meet so many different people in so many different circumstances, doing so many different things.
Well, we've said, haven't we, Rob? We probably would say it's a horror industry, but the insurance industry is the most interesting industry in the world, because whatever you're looking at now, whether it's me or whether that's a chair or whether you get in a car and a train and a plane or whatever, it's insured. Whether you drink it out of a coffee mug into a restaurant, it's insured. And we have, as brokers, we get to see such wonderful different business. You could be a reptile exporter of snakes and you've got to insure it. It's such an interesting industry. And Lloyd's of London, you think of what they've seen. It's just incredible.
So, talk to me about that, because not a lot of viewers and listeners won't sort of know what Lloyd's is. It seems to be this dark thing going on in the background. To belong to Lloyd's or to be, just explain very briefly, what is Lloyd's?
I do a talk to the new team when they arrive about the fact that the industry started in coffee houses, and Lloyd's Coffee House was one of the first ones. And it was all down to shipping. It was down to the massive, empire that is Britain back in the day, where people wanted to make sure that their ships came back in one piece because they were investing in it. So lots of people would invest in cotton, etc. And it needed to be insured because they wanted to protect their investment. And it was all done with individual underwriters going in a coffee house. Well, I can afford to take this amount of the risk, and I can afford and you try and get to 100%. And those principles have just really just continued for the couple of centuries that it's been going on. If I was a Lloyd's broker sitting here, I'd be bemoaning how much it's changed, because now most of the underwriting syndicates are owned by a major insurance company. There's very few of these names left. The guys who were individuals, like, was it very famously Henry Cooper, the boxer, was a name in Lloyd's, and unfortunately had to sell his belts because they underwrote some risks that they were not underwritten well. Let's put it that way. They lost money on it. So it kind of, it's another thing. I've had clients who said to me, am I better off just going down the bookies than putting my money into an insurance, because I'm never going to see it again, and I might with a bet, and it is a sort of form of gambling, of course, but there are professional actuaries who work out the likelihood of an aircraft coming down, of a bridge breaking, of flood, of fires, etc. Everything is statistically calculated.
So do Lloyd's tend to do the things that are more extreme?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what they were in.
They do.
So this what if scenario, what if that was to happen? And I'm assuming that, because we've talked about it before, haven't we, in quite a lot of depth, but things like September the 11th, or the Twin Towers, I don't know, to some extent, COVID.
COVID, there's a reason that a lot of people were not insured for COVID. It's because the insurance industry had worked out that there's a flu pandemic likely. So they withdrew anything related to flu that would impact a business. It's not, they didn't do it for everyone, because some claims were actually paid, and the wording was ambiguous. I think my premise, my belief that black swan events are not so unusual, that you actually can predict what's going to happen because everything is available. It's just us humans don't want to accept it. I think that still stands up, and insurers obviously account for that. They price it in to your premiums, all of our premiums, no matter what. It's all a big pool. We all put our money in, and those who suffer get their claims paid.
I think there was an attitude from Lloyd's in the day, and this happened to me again this year. I'd done this music tour in the States in July with my two best friends, and we went to this old recording studio in Memphis, where all the greats had recorded there. And in this studio, there was this big American Cadillac that was owned by a famous blues artist called Isaac Hayes. And I went up to this, and I put it actually on LinkedIn.
Not Isaac Hayes. Isaac Hayes was the music artist, wasn't it? Was it Isaac Hayes?
Yes, it was. Okay. Yeah, so his Cadillac. Yeah, thanks for correcting that. Actually, and I put this up on LinkedIn because of my insurance background. And on the sort of script in front of the car, he had a gold-plated grille. He had this pimped up car. It was incredible, and so I looked at it, and then I read it, and that was only Lloyd's of London. he could only get insurance. To rag this car around in Memphis and everything else with all his entourage, and it was only Lloyd's of London that would insure it.
There's loads of mad things like that.
Yeah.
Is it J-Lo's bum? That
Yeah,
insured?
yeah. That was another one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Schwarzenegger's muscles, I think, at one point. I think his arms, his biceps were insured. Yeah. It's really kind of...
You do hear these stories and you think...
Yeah, it's true, yeah. No.
But the other things I think of is like when the tanker got caught in the...
Oh, yeah.
Where was that? Was that the Suez Canal?
yes,
Canals. And you're
the
thinking...
Ever Given, it was, yeah. I had two clients with stuff on that ship. And it's one of those really odd things that marine law and marine insurance is particularly specialist. But you, if your stuff is... So people say to me, oh, well, I've got some stuff on a container, but it's not worth anything. Well, you need to insure it because you contribute to any loss for the whole ship. If something happens, you're in the game. Don't go uninsured because you will face a personal liability, or the company will. So everything is insured through containers, and when it's on that ship, if there's a principle called general average. So if a ship gets into trouble with a load of containers on and they have to offload some of those containers, everyone contributes to that loss because it was to save everyone else's goods. So there's loads of quirky things in this marine insurance world.
That's why insurance is so interesting.
I mean, it is. It's
this topic. I find it a really fascinating industry.
Now seems a great time to take a break and talk to you about our podcast sponsor, Affinia. Affinia is an accountancy and tax advisory firm helping businesses and individuals make better financial decisions with confidence. From everyday accounting to long-term strategic planning, their team is dedicated to understanding your goals and supporting you with proactive advice that truly adds value. In particular, managing your personal tax positions can be complex, but Affinia makes it clear and manageable. So whether you need help with inheritance tax planning, trusts and estates, or structuring your finances more efficiently, their expert team provides tailored guidance designed around your life and your ambitions. Discover more at affinia.co.uk. A quick pause in the conversation. If you're a director, MD, CEO or business owner in Norfolk, Suffolk and Essex, and you ever feel that leadership can be quietly isolating, you're not alone. That's exactly why I created the UK Director Business Club, a private peer community for experienced directors and business owners and senior leaders who value thoughtful conversation, perspective and credibility over networking noise. There's no selling, no pitching, just real discussion with people who understand the responsibility of leading a business. If that sounds like something you'd value, click on the link in the description.
So, when someone rings you up, have you ever had that moment where you've gone, ooh, scratch your head? That's odd.
Yeah.
You had the cow pillow. What
oh.
did you have?
Well, that would I'd probably have to say claims. We had this lovely lady. We had a client called Travis Perkins, who everyone knows. I think that at the time they were one of the UK's biggest fleets, and one of their trucks hit this Citroen 2CV. It's kind of a collector's car, but they are quirky cars. People like these cars, and unfortunately we hit it quite bad. Our client hit it quite so the car was a write-off. We call it beyond economical repair. So we sent the car to salvage, and we said we'll pay the lady, and which was all good, and she was happy, and then she phones. She go, when can I get my flower back? Flower back? What's going on? She go, well, my Citroen's called Flower. She had a name. Oh no, you can't. You won't get it back. It's gone to salvage. And she said, oh no, I've arranged for its burial. Right, okay. Well, probably in the compactor by now, and but so we're having this conversation, and the lady broke down and cried because she'd arranged a burial for this car. So we phoned the salvage agent, and he said, "Well, yeah, we got it, Simon, but it's 6 deep under other cars, and it's all crushed and stuff." So we had to relay this back to the lady, and then bless her heart, she had another breakdown over that. she said, well, I need something from the car because I need to bury her, you know. Okay, so we ended up having the salvage agents take the door off the car and send them the door so she could bury the door. But it's what people are, aren't they? You know, everyone's different in their own way. But that was one of the strangest things I dealt with. Yeah.
Well, that's really interesting because sentimental value is a big thing
passion,
in the insurance industry.
Passion, yeah.
You can't insure sentimental value.
No.
I mean, it's economics. It's not. I mean, there's all the emotional depth that people have for everything that they insure. It's only its value, and that's an explanation. Unfortunately, you know, you've done it. I've done it. You know, had to explain to someone that. It doesn't, you know, what compensation can you give for that, you know?
And do you know what? This is why I love business, because business is not all about, we work in a very regimental, regulated world. But I do love the funny stories of business, you know, whether you're an insurance broker or whatever you do, you'll always, in your life through business, you'll have funny, quirky stories. You know, and you will, and I really enjoy that part of business. You know, the funny things I've seen in insurance is just, makes me smile.
So we're going to talk to you a bit personal thing at the moment.
Okay.
But one last question around this: what's the most expensive thing you've ever insured?
Well, we've only just moved into the broking arena. Really in the last year, so we haven't not what we've insured, but from a claims handling point of view, we had an insurance company we used to represent called Mitsui Sumitomo. A lot of people know them; they're Japan's biggest bank, but they moved into the insurance industry, and we won that contract. And so, what actually happened? We insured Honda UK, right? So multi-million pound account for Mitsui, and we were the claims handler. And they released this new Honda, and you know those handbrakes with a little lever where it goes,
yeah,
right. Well, they were on this display, this car show. It rolled down the hill, and who knows the film called The Italian Job?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, 68. Yeah,
I know both of them.
Yeah,
So.
we know. Well,
I've not seen the new one, but the old one's the
yeah. So when the mafia tips that
I think
Jaguar E-Type over the edge, that was on display, and that Honda T-boned that Jaguar E-Type. We dealt with the claim on that, and I looked at it from an engineering point of view. I've got a Jaguar E-Type, and we thought, do you know what? Damage on that is probably £25,000. It hit the front doors. We looked at it, what they call blend out the wings, repair the wings, do the door, about £25,000. No. That car got taken away from Jaguar Heritage and go, that is from the film, and that's you know,
wow.
And how much is that worth? It's what someone will pay for it. If someone wants that Jaguar, like Elon Musk, he owns Wet Nelly, the Lotus Esprit from The Spy Who Loved Me. So that Lotus Esprit, you know, Series 1 is worth 60,000, 65, but that one, and now it's Elon Musk, what are you going to pay for it?
Yeah.
So conjures up all sorts of images.
Oh,
Spectrum, the white cat, and there's Elon Musk.
there's there's a certain suspicion, isn't there, of which, you know.
So that's the type of thing we deal with insurance. You know, it's I remember I used to come back to my days at Tooks Bakery. I was a panel beater and a coach builder. That's how I got into insurance. But I remember we had this bread van come in. I said, right, it's in for repair. What's happened? He'd backed it into a helicopter at Lakenheath. He'd bent the blade of a helicopter, and then the MOD had that was decommissioned, had to go to be set up. Oh my God, another claim, you know. So as the propeller to the top of the helicopter went down, he backed it in and flipped it up. Which God,
How random is that?
Yeah, and the helicopter blade went in the back of the bread van, and then I got the job of repairing the bread van. But yeah, that's another story. So plenty of stories.
But you have, you know, as part of the VINTTRO brand, you're starting to get people approach you with some very expensive cars.
Yeah, we just had a client, and he's actually coming into our storage facility. He's a lovely guy. He phoned us up, and he said, I've got this Aston Martin being built, expecting his name, and we quoted the car. It's called Aston Martin Velour, and he the premium was £22,500. Unfortunately, we didn't win it, but we are going to win it. And in conversation, he came to look at our storage facility, and he said, I got another one as well, being built from Aston Martin, and he gets this second one in April. And I said, okay, what's that? And he said, that's a Van Huller, and it's a really limited car, and he's having it spec'd in his name. And that car, in 12 to 18 months, is projected to be worth £1 million more than he's paying for it. Investment car. And that's coming into our brand new storage facility that work starts soon. So there's some, but that's again where this whole lifestyle thing comes in.
Yeah. So from point of view of you, if you're not sleeping, so you're awake 24 hours a day.
He's looking remarkably fresh on no sleep.
You know, I'm assuming that you don't do this when you keep being kept awake at night, but you play guitar, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I played in bands for years. I always had my music idol was Prince, and I've just come back from Minneapolis actually in July. I went to his place because there's a museum now. But yes, I played in bands for years, gigged around it, switched Essex and even into London, and then I started writing my own stuff. We'd done a few studio CDs back in the day, and I loved it, you know. And then I got involved with my first company that turned into a reasonable sized company, and I stopped, and I've just literally started playing again in the last 12 months. Yeah, I'm actually starting to get pretty good again now. It's like riding a bike, you know. It's the chords come back and the rhythms come back and stuff. So yeah, next year we're just going to go out as like acoustic lounge stuff, you know.
Well, early plug. What's the name of the band? What's it?
Well, we're thinking about just calling it Gas.
Okay.
Because there's only three of us, and it's Gus, Andrew, and Simon. Yeah, so or we might be called something like Gosbeckins because we all live in Gosbeck up the road. Yeah. So yeah.
So I'm thinking of that just came into my mind that we've had the BBC. Was it BBC drama where you had the older ladies who formed a pop group,
Rebel
didn't
or something.
Was it called
Rebel Girls?
Girls?
Yeah.
But,
Right, girls.
You know, what we got the male version here.
The older male, is that what you're going to say?
Don't be insulted. They're a very good band.
So tell me, what's your favourite style of music then?
Well, I love Prince, you know, and I love Prince quite simply because he covered so many genres, you know. Prince, and undoubtedly, in my opinion, is the best artist that's ever graced. And I'll tell you why. It's because he plays 19 different instruments. When I went to Paisley Park this year, there's no artist in the world. He's got 500 albums in the vault, unreleased. There's not a band, an artist in the world that's ever nowhere near that. There's not an artist nowhere near that. And for me, the way, and I went in his studios and see what he'd done. His studios and his affection, he built himself. You know, it was just incredible. So it's I love the whole funk rock guitar that Prince created. I was probably influenced that. But of course I come through the 80s, so I loved the whole George Michael era, Elton John, stuff like that. So I loved that. But I would say Prince is the biggest influence in my music. Yeah.
Something to look forward to, isn't it? I want to see.
Well, this is just acoustic stuff that we've broken down songs. As an example, I went home Sunday. My wife was away, and then I just started doing the acoustic of the Something in the Air Tonight by Phil Collins, but I broke it down into acoustic, and so that's stuff like that.
Are you self-taught?
Yes, I am self-taught. Yeah, I played guitar at school, but I came from Chantry High, which back in the 80s wasn't a great school. And so when you went to a music lesson, the guitars, all the strings used to be cut or vandalized and stuff. So you were lucky to find a guitar, and my mother couldn't afford to buy me a guitar. So if you went to the music room, you kind of like, you'll be lucky if you get a guitar, and if you did pick one up, you'd be lucky if it had 6 strings on it. So I didn't play until my late 20s, and then I threw myself at it. You know, that's something again, like in business. If I do something, I had this idea when I was at CAA. I want to be a pilot. So I went up to Earls Cone. I got a license in 42 hours.
How did you manage that? What, the poor old pilot? The person who was teaching you probably thought, I don't sleep.
I just went down. I took 2 weeks off. I crunched 9 exams down in Brighton. I studied. So when my wife, I studied this book of exams. I went down to Brighton. I crunched 9 exams in 2 weeks, and I got a pilot's license in 42 hours. Yeah.
Wow. Does that not sleeping help with things like that?
Probably that's where I was
What
always.
about the poor people have to teach?
I know. Well, I'm assuming they.
So, what,
I am slowing down these days. I am slowing down. But
They got a sleeping bag in the bag.
that is the energy that I used to have. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible.
So I just want to. One of the things I want to finish up with asking. I mean, I don't know whether you've got anything that you would like to add, but one of the things I want to do is, because you're quite entrepreneurial. So if you look back at the younger Simon, the panel beater Simon, and you were to reflect back and say to them, knowing what you know now, what couple of bits of advice would you give to that younger Simon, do you think?
That's a really good question. So I quite like the way my career has panned out. I don't know if this is going to answer your question, but I'm quite critical of what I call education processing in the UK. University is not everything to a business owner. I can tell you that. Now, I had 65 people with degrees in my last business. I can tell you now they weren't my best staff, right? So I would say to a younger person, it's there's still nothing wrong with energy and hard work. We put so much emphasis on education, which is great. And when I owned CAA with the guys, every single one of our people were under education. But that is not the be and all of having a successful business. You need to one, we're humans. We need to communicate with each other. We need to meet each other, and we need to understand and do things together. But education is not. And actually, if you take the time to read the VINTTRO brand, I have put in that brand, we will consider education, but we will only consider. I'm not really interested in it. I'm interested in the person and how you're hungry for success. Because I can teach you and coach you and educate you, but are you hungry for success? So going back to your question, young, I would focus on that. I would say that's what I'll do. I say, man, I've pretty much done it. My father, who's no longer with it, he said, when you're young and healthy, just work as many hours as you want. I had a house at 21 with a Porsche 944 on the driveway.
Wow.
And in those days, I'd done a bit of dancing as well at night, and I used to get 50 quid and all that type of thing,
What sort of dancing?
I was just
not pole dancing or anything like that. What sort of dance?
But just disco dance and stuff like that. But this is the thing, the energy side got me to where I am today. I left school with no education. Left school, but when I went to college, I got student of the year and stuff like that because I was put into an environment that I really enjoyed, motor cars. They put me in that environment. I'd done a 4-year apprentice. I ended up staying for 7 years, coming out with a transport law HND because I love the environment. And this is why I think with education. So you're going to go to university, but what are you going to use it for? I've seen it with my nephew. He's a great guy, but went to university and ended up working in a bar.
I'm still thinking that we got to go back to the dancing.
No, I feel that.
Did you know about the dancing?
No, I had no clue.
No, we have.
Okay.
This is a new
So
thing to me.
disco dancing.
Yeah, we just around dancing and stuff, night.
Do you like Strictly then? Do you watch Strictly?
My wife really loves it.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
my wife, actually, I do like watching it. Actually, that's a good question because I don't go and deliberately put it on, but my wife really enjoys it. And then I go, oh, yeah, he's good. One of my idols again was John Travolta. And he was known as Snaky Hips, and even today, if I see John Travolta, I just love John Travolta because he was just an incredible icon.
And he could dance.
Oh God,
so people, because you could dance presumably.
Yeah.
When
I was younger.
Yeah, when there was enough go, I reckon you can still shake your moves.
Well,
anyway.
Not so good these days.
They would get you in because they want people dancing. And if you're a great dancer, then would they pay you to come dance?
Yeah, well, I was in the days in Ipswich. I was approached at Hollywood nightclub. I was just in there with friends, and said, "Do you want to come and dance in the Hollywood nightclubs?" That type of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
you weren't one of those people that dance on the table, were you?
well, we don't.
Ages Let's go back a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're great days.
Yeah.
Great days.
Yeah. Well, I thought I knew you, Simon. But it turns out
music's always been a massive influence in my life. My father loved it. My father was gigging until he was doing his CDs my brother actually, who does a lot for charity, he took my dad's CD and he promoted Alzheimer's with it, you know. So my dad recorded these 7 tracks, all like Frank Sinatra stuff, swing music, and then my brother turned that into a charity and he sold it for Alzheimer's, you know. So it was the whole music thing, probably a bit showing off, come from my father because he was a show off, you know, and that whole thing. So I think that's why, and even now I'm, you know, my friends, we've just done this tour in America. He said, "Oh, do you want to go to the Jazz House in Berlin next year?" So yeah, I'm off for that. We'll go to jazz. I don't know much about jazz, but I want to go to a jazz house. So I love my music. Yeah.
So I know this is going to be really difficult to answer. Go to song. But whenever it comes on, or if you switch it on, and
a song.
Yeah.
I've got so many actually.
I know.
That's a really good question. I always think Purple Rain is quite special. That's a real special song. And when I was growing up, you know, Careless Whisper by George Michael was quite special. I'd probably say, probably those 2, yeah.
Wow. It's been brilliant.
Honestly, that's been amazing. Yeah. And, you know, having known Simon, I found out so many new things about him from this. I should have done this sooner, mate.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Simon.
That's
for your time. It's been great to speak to you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for having me in. I really appreciate it.
Cheers, Simon.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the UK Direct to Business podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, then visit our website, ukdirectormagazines.co.uk, where you can listen to more episodes as well as download our library of magazines, Suffolk Director, Norfolk Director and Essex Director. Don't forget to join our UK Director Business Club, where you can enjoy a whole host of benefits, including exclusive content such as unedited podcasts, free tickets to our events, and so much more. See you next time. Goodbye.